want more production. More. Oh, damn.
My name is Sanjeev Singh. Today we'll be discussing the concept of production and the law of returns. Production. Production is the result of the cooperation of factors of production, also known as factor inputs. The factor inputs are raw materials, plant, machinery, motive power, labor force, etc. But it primarily differs from industry to industry. Let's take an example. Let's take an example of the software industry. The factor inputs are most importantly the skilled labor force, and additionally the computers, the building, the premises, and so on and so forth. The aim of the producer is always to maximize his profits. Hence, he always decides to maximize the production at the minimum cost for opting for the best combination of the factor inputs. Hence, production in simple language is nothing but the creation of goods or services for the purpose of selling in the market, or else it could also be stated as the creation of utility with the help of the factor inputs. Hence, we can say that quantity produced is a function of its inputs. That is, if a producer wants to increase his total production, he has to increase the supply of the factor inputs. So what do you mean by production function? Production function is nothing but the relationship between inputs with that of the output, which can be mathematically represented as quantity is a function of all factor inputs, that is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship or management. In the process of production, the firm finds that it can easily and quickly change some factor inputs while the other remains unchanged on day-to-day basis. Let us consider an example of a petroleum refinery. If a petroleum refinery wants to increase its output, it can increase its supply of labor, its supply of raw materials very easily with the given amount of capital. But to increase the capital supply, that is to set up another plant, it's going to take a long period of time, probably 5 years, 6 years. Hence, the production function can be ideally classified on the basis of the period of time. Time period is classified into short run and long run. In the short run, it is possible to increase the quantity of output by changing few factor inputs, or rather one factor input, while other factor inputs remaining constant. Let us take the same example of the petroleum refinery. In the case of a petroleum refinery, if the producer wants to increase the output, he can bring about changes only in few factor inputs. Say, it could be capital, that is raw materials, or it could be the labor force. In the short run, it is not possible for the producer to increase the output by changing the fixed factors, that is the plant and machinery, the building, etc. Whereas in the long run, it is possible for the producer to change all factor inputs irrespective of fixed factors or variable factors. So to bring about a change in the output in the same example of a petroleum refinery, the producer can set up an entirely different plant or machinery, or he can purchase a separate set of factor inputs. Hence, the production function in the short run can be written as total quantity is a function of variable inputs, that is labor in the short run. In the short run, total product refers to the total quantity of output as a function of labor. Remember, here we assume that labor is the only variable input, and by the total product we derive the average product. That is, if total product is TP, average product is total product divided by the quantity of labor. On an average, how much does one labor produce is what is known as average product, whereas marginal product is the change in the total product due to one additional unit of labor. Marginal product can be found easily by dividing the change in the total product by that of the change in the labor. Now let's discuss the production function in the short run, or also known as the law of variable proportions. As the name suggests, variable proportions because the proportion between the factor inputs keeps on changing for every level of output. Assuming that labor is the only variable factor and capital is the fixed factor, with every increase in the labor, the proportion between labor and capital keeps on changing. Well, the law states that as more and more units of variable factors, that is labor, is applied to a given quantity of fixed factors, let's say in our case capital, the total product behaves in a different manner at different points of time. That is, the total product initially increases at an increasing rate, which is known as the law of increasing returns. But eventually, as more and more of labor is added to the given fixed resources, the total product increases, but at a diminishing rate at a later stage, that is known as the law of diminishing returns. And finally, with further increase in labor, the total product starts declining. Let us understand the law with the help of a table, where the first column represents the units of capital, the second column represents the units of variable factors, and the third column represents the total product. Let us assume that the first column, which represents capital, is fixed at 10 units for all units of labor. And the next column, which represents labor, starts from one labor to that of labors. Total production with respect to capital versus labor is, for 1 unit of labor with fixed amount of capital, is 20 units. And subsequently, for the second unit of labor, when added to 10 units of capital, it gives 50 units of output. That is the total production. And as we keep on adding the labor to the fixed amount of capital, the total production keeps on increasing to 150 maximum, that is on the 6th unit of labor, subsequently on the 7th, again it's 150. Now let's discuss about the next column, which represents marginal product. Do remember, marginal product is the change in the total product due to one additional unit of labor. Marginal product for the first unit of labor is 20, which is the same as total product. In the case of the second unit of labor, the total product is 50. Do remember, when we talk about marginal product, it is a change in the total product due to one additional unit of labor, unlike the average product. And hence, marginal product for the second unit of labor, which is a contribution of the second labor, is 50 minus 20, that is 30. And subsequently, for the third unit of labor, it's 90, which is the total product of 3 units of labor, minus that of the total product of 2 units of labor. That is 90 minus 50, that is 40. Well, in this column of marginal product, we can clearly see that as more and more units of variable factors are added to the fixed factors, initially the marginal product starts increasing, that is from 20 to 30, it reaches its maximum, that is 40, and thereafter it starts declining. And it reaches a point where it turns to 0. This is the point where the total product is the maximum, that is 150 units. Well, now let us discuss the relationship between the marginal product and the average product. The marginal product intersects the average product at its highest point. And also, as long as the average product is increasing, marginal product is always greater than the average product. Secondly, when average product starts declining, marginal product would be always less than the average product. Well friends, let us discuss the reasons for the U shape of the marginal product curve. Firstly, the rising part, and the reasons for the same are primarily division of labor, which leads to specialization over a period of time. As more and more units of the variable factors are added, the work gets divided between the labors, which leads to rise in the productivity of each and every labor, and hence it leads to rise in the marginal product curve. The other reason for the rising part is, in the initial stages there exists an underutilization of fixed factors. But as more and more of labor is added to the fixed resources, the fixed factors gets optimally utilized. Well, the reasons for the falling part of marginal product are the availability of fixed capital per labor actually starts diminishing, which also means that less capital will be available for more laborers, which leads to actually fall in the productivity of the laborers. Also, there is another point, which is imperfect substitutability of factors, which again means that till a certain extent, labor can be substituted for capital, but beyond a certain level, it becomes unproductive. Let us take an example to understand the same. A producer can hire, say, 3 workers to lift an object of 150 kgs. He can still increase the number of laborers if the weight of the object increases, but it's not possible after a certain level. That is, the producer has to have a crane or a capital to lift a very heavy object, say 1000 kilograms. Well, the most important part, as a producer, in which stage of operation should I be in? Is it the law of increasing returns, the law of diminishing returns, or when the marginal product turns negative? Of course, no producer would choose to be in stage 3, that is the negative returns, because the total product has actually started declining. Hence, any producer would think of being in stage 2 or stage 1. But then, what determines whether the producer has to be in stage 2 or stage 1? That actually depends upon the cost and the revenue curves of the firm. Let us discuss the long run production function, also known as the law of fixed proportions. In the long run, since all the factors becomes variable, the producer determines the ideal ratio between all the inputs. And to bring about any increase in the output, the producer increases the inputs. But the ratio between them remains the same. Well, the law of fixed proportions states that as the producer increases the inputs to bring about an increase in the output in the long run, initially the producer experiences an increasing returns, then constant returns, and finally diminishing returns. Well friends, I hope you have got the gist of the production function and the laws of returns. Well, then see you soon in the next session of the cost analysis.